All right, guys, what you're looking at here is the Genesis. Um, what really started me wanting to learn how to build car audio subwoofer boxes beyond the typical prefab um, boxes that you find. And with this first ever ported box that I built, thought I knew everything, that whole Dunning-Kruger, curve. This box here taught me a lot, mostly about planning. You need to have your design planned out from the material you're going to build it with, the finish you're going to put on it, where it's going to go inside the vehicle, and all that sort of deal. If you have an idea in mind, flesh them all out as best you can, because the more variables you leave up in the air, the more your end design is definitely going to change. I knew it was going to be sub up, bottom port. I thought I was going to really like this idea here with this slot port at the bottom. And it may be a good design, but I'm not pleased with how it came out, just because the port area that I used is so skinny in relation to how wide it is. I didn't understand airflow dynamics, and I still don't, but I didn't understand them to even the extent that I understand them now, which is a lot less or whatever. Also, I didn't understand bracing. I thought I did, but I didn't, and I had to do some impromptu bracing on the fly that I could have avoided had I not been so arrogant. But anyhow, I digress. This is Genesis. This is where it started. This is what I think is going to end up being my box, simply because it turned out fantastic. There's a lot I don't like about it as far as offering it for sale. Like, the screw holes are just in random places from where I've had to fix things, rattles that have developed and gone back and glued and added bracing. And, you want to cover this and make it look good. And I would sell this if somebody wanted to buy it, but I don't imagine they would want to pay me. They could never pay me enough for what it's worth. And the fact that I've got so many hours in it and so many different types of materials and R&D, and the value in the knowledge that this box imparted makes it kind of priceless. So it fits in my truck and it does everything that I want it to do, which is probably what I should explain next. What am I looking for when I build and design a subsystem? Well, my area started with infinite baffle. So I was looking for smooth roll off down into the low frequencies, not peaky, not looking for boomy bass, that hits one frequency well. I wanted to play them all, and I wanted to dig deep. Infinite baffle does that. When you put enough drivers in it, it can get stupid loud and can crawl way down into the 20 hertz hertz range with very little power. But it requires a lot of times for you to make permanent design changes to your vehicle that can't be undone. That was not going to happen with my new truck. So I had to come up with something different. And I broke out the internet. I broke out the subwoofer design softwares, WinISD, Subbox Pro, Ultimate Car Audio app, all of them. And I went through them all at the same time, trying to come up with a concept of where I could cheat common knowledge. I wanted low frequency bass with very little power in a small box that would absolutely break the block. You know how sometimes you can choose three, like I want it fast, cheap, and reliable, where you pick two and you stick with it? I was shooting for four things. I wanted small, I wanted low, I wanted loud, and I wanted efficient. Well, this box, as you can see, that it is large and in charge. That does two things. Two, it allows you to get the airspace necessary to be efficient. But also, it allows you the box volume to run a long enough port to get low. You have to have both of those in conjunction. And I don't think you can divorce the two. If you're going to go ported and you're going to be low, it's going to be big. There's no other way to fit the port inside the box. Now, you could go external port. Haven't modeled that, but who? I guess I can't say that. I mean, there's got to be somebody that would build a box with a big old rhinoceros horn sticking out of it somewhere, you know, and maybe vent it from one side of the vehicle to the other or something. There's a place for it, I'm sure, because why would it be available to model? I digress. Anyway, if you're going to have the port inside the box, it's got to be big if you want to go low. And because it's going to be big, you're going to be efficient. So that's good. Low and efficient got me there. What I missed out on was making it compact. Now, you can get loud without being very big. You can get as loud as you want to in a smaller box, but you're going to be tuning it higher and you're going to be running a lot more power. So that makes you have to buy really expensive woofers to be able to handle the power you're going to be throwing at them, which will be necessary to make volume. How did I learn all that from this box? Well, I had a SCAR prefab box, smaller than this, a lot smaller port area. This box was originally cut for two 12s, power acoustic 12s, ones you get from Walmart. I put them in that SCAR box and it played bass. They were all right. I mean, they would get loud, but they wouldn't get very low. And it wasn't very long before the cone or the coil started to smell, because they couldn't handle the amount of power I was trying to throw at them to make them loud in that small of a box. I didn't have any volume because I didn't have any volume with that sub. Now, I did buy the EVL bass package they sell, and that was a world of difference. Not only could it handle the power that I was throwing at it, but it was able to dig way deeper without being in that much bigger of a box. And that taught me a couple of things. Small box needs big power, so big power necessitates beefy woofer. Now, EVL's not exactly a monster, but it is in comparison to the Power Acoustics. It's just on a whole nother level. Also, it has excursion. I mean, those things can throw. I think it's 23 millimeters, 25 millimeters, something like that. Linear excursion, one way. So it's got a lot of throw. If you want to get low and have bandwidth in other frequencies, you got to have excursion. Why is that? Well, a ported box does one thing great. It plays its tuning frequency and a small bandwidth around that with authority, because it doesn't rely on the cone movement to make that frequency. It's all coming out of the port. Your motor structure is resonating the air inside the box and outside the box and causing this down here to be basically as big of a woofer as you've got power and motor force to drive. So it can play that frequency very well. Everything else is going to require a combination of the woofer and the port, or just the woofer itself. It's going to unload more so below the tuning frequency, but it will also unload to a degree above the tuning frequency. And in both of those scenarios, if you want to play in those bandwidths, you're going to need the excursion to do it. Excursion's a good thing. Box volume is a good thing. With those, you can have a wide playing frequency. And it's all a combination of things. And this is basically just things that I've learned. This is not a concise, congruent way of putting it all together, making it up as I go. With those 12s in here, the Gothics in here, I was able to dig down lower than the EVLs on less power. So that's where the tuning frequency was. They were tuned at I think this box is tuned at 28, 29 hertz. And above that, they were flying all over the place, but they would play from 29 on up, 60 hertz or so, 80 hertz. Nice and flat inside the vehicle response, which was my truck. And that's the response I cared about, which was inside that vehicle, what did it sound like? And it sounded perfect. Since then, I have moved on to a set of 15-inch subs. And of course, this box is big enough, Ooh, sure we don't go off. That just ruined the whole video. And I ruined my box. Anyway, this thing's still tracking me. It is. Okay. So before my box took a tumble, I cut it for 215s. The tuning frequency stayed roughly the same. I'm still keeping that box. Yeah, it broke the edge of the port right there, but it's not completely separated. And I've got some epoxy. I can sand that down and fix it. Like I say, this is my box. And with those 15s in there, man, this thing plays so loud that it's more than I can take. With my ears and everything, it's physically more than I want to deal with at full volume. So, efficient, loud, low bass, and I'm on stock electrical. I just don't have any cargo room. What can you do? It's only me in the truck. It's a crew cab. I can handle it. Being 36 inches wide, I still have the other side over there where I've got a nice amp wall and all kinds of stuff, I was going to hook this up to a DATS and verify tuning frequency, but I guess that's kind of out the window. We'll do that with the next box. So you've seen Genesis. Genesis just took a tumble. Where did it take me? This is our Mark III, I guess, design. This one I'm proud of. This is going to be something I sell here. If anybody wants it, I guess. It's still large and in charge. Dual 15 center port. This should be tuned, I think, at 26 hertz, which is going to be, in theory, extremely musical. And this is going to be like a SQL dual 15 box. I learned about body work and hiding my screw holes. I learned about how long to let this bed liner cure, how to seal MDF edges, about bracing where it counts. And I learned that if you're going to be building and testing a lot of audio equipment, especially high volume, loudness, subwoofer enclosures, you better be young and you better be strong, because these things are heavy. And you better have a lot of money, because these things aren't cheap. This is not your typical $200 box. It's not what you're paying for. You're paying for knowledge and you're paying for time. And if you get burps, you pay extra. So be prepared for that. So what we're going to do now is, you can see it hasn't been fitted for the subs. We're going to actually fit those in now. I'm going to put terminal cups in it, and we're going to install it and give it a test bump. I doubt it'll do it at this high frequency, but we'll try it just to see.